tiefling and Etruscan, addicts of drugs not yet synthesized, black marketeers of World War III, excisers of telepathic sensitivity, osteopaths of spirit, investigators of infractions denounced by bland paranoid chess players.
What is going on, guys?
So, Roman, where are you at?
Hello, I am in the beautiful Mendocino County of California.
Oh, I bet his weather is awesome.
Yeah, dude, it's not smoky here. Fire season seemingly. Oh shit, I just said the word. Sorry, let me knock on some. Yeah, it
Fire
looks good.
season.
Not a lot. Of...
You
Yeah.
get shadow banned
That
for that
sounds
too?
scary.
Oh goodness.
I think
Well,
he
if we
didn't
could
want to
just get-
tempt
I
the
know.
demons.
I was just messing around because we tried to say vaccines and let's just say it all right now: vaccine, COVID. What stuff gets us in trouble?
Just make sure that this doesn't get played anyway.
Paid pedo island. No, I'm just kidding. We could cut that out.
Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful here. It gets up to the 90s still, but super chill at night, so you can get all cozy in the cold underneath your sweet Pendleton, and then wake up and then sweat your beautiful balls off again, and the next day.
Perfect. But at least it gets nice and cool at night. So that's the key. So what do you
The
do,
kicker.
Roman?
I'm a horticulturist, a cultivator of agriculture. Here, we specialize in the cannabis crop out here in Northern California. I'm have a show, a podcast, a co-host on a show called Rising from the Ashes, which is we like to call it, all things conspiracy, but a lot of it is like alternative history, and different human origin stories.
Awesome.
Possibly the correct history. You never know.
Yes.
And then we got our man is in the corner. He's not in studio today, but he's here in spirit. What's up, Mark? Mark Steves, what's up?
What's up, guys? I'm having a little bit of an issue hearing you guys over there in the studio. Sounds like you guys are podcasting from an igloo or something. Either way, I'm happy to be here on Free Thinker Society with my homie Romy. Glad to bring him in the fold because I've been talking a lot with him lately, and this is the first time that Roman and I are doing a podcast together. So
Oh, nice.
I'm glad to be here.
Me
Great.
too, man.
Great.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, boys.
Roman, so you say when you're talking about, alternative histories, do you know anything about Tartaria?
I of course. That's what I mean. Like one of the main, well, not necessarily the main thing that got me spun down the many threaded rabbit holes of the lost origins of our true nature and true history. Whoa, there's a fly on the camera. You guys see that?
Yeah,
That
fucking-
looks sick.
It's cool.
Oh, he's getting in it. Yeah, Tartaria is not necessarily my specialty, but I follow the works of Michelle Gibson a lot, and kind of just go with the intuition given to me through the cosmic fabric. But it's new to the realm of our circles, and
Yeah.
like within the past 3 to 5 years, it's really been coming up a lot. And so we're just I don't know necessarily more than anybody else.
Well, I don't
and we
know.
have
And
our
put it this
theme.
way, I know a lot of conspiracies and ancient stuff I love to learn about. And that's really was one of the things that got me really into conspiracies. After I visited a pyramid structure. But this one I don't know anything about. So can you I literally just glanced upon it. I hear everyone talking about it. Can you just give me a little? And I don't know if Clint knows anything. Can you just?
I don't know anything.
Yeah, it's pretty new.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah. All right. Let's do it. Let's do it because Tartaria and Mudflood are often grouped together, right? I like to think of Tartaria as this kind of like flat Earth. It's kind of like a blanket term,
Okay.
or a blanket statement or term that can be used for. And Mudflood too is like a blanket term. The erasing of history, the suppression of history, and the controlled demolition of humankind to, you know, the monotheistic powers or whatever. So Tartaria is a ancient empire or civilization of people that were seemingly of the higher vibrational states, you know, not nefarious, like living within the golden age of Earth, and within the harmony of the Earth's electrical body, and understood physics, ether physics, extracting energy from the ether, and agriculture and harmony, and you know, the deep understanding of love, and that spread. And so why we think Tartaria is being suppressed from our narrative now is for the reason to keep us under the mind state that we are nothing but, you know, we evolution, we come from apes, that's it. We don't have a higher connection. We don't have this connection to the cosmos. We're here spinning on a ball, you know, so on and so forth. You've heard these things. And but then we find the maps, we find maps, we find buildings under the ground, half covered in debris and mud, all over the world. We find, you know, pyramids, hollowed out mountains, canals, river canals, and entrances to, you know, what people would call the Hollow Earth, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there has been a long battle to basically suppress those people, to like basically make extinct these humanoids or hominids or whatever, that the Tartarians were, whether they were like Nephilim giants or they were, you know, Anunnaki spinoff or whatever. Like, but there is very, very evidently huge like strides of people going extinct, and those would be considered potentially Tartarians, like ancient people that had a better understanding of like physics that we have now. And so like we just are getting science suppressed from us, true understanding of astrology, true understanding of electrical systems on the earth, and electrical systems within our consciousness, and how we connect that, and you know, and basically be magical beings and shit.
Yeah, it sounds like it's like what we're supposed to be. You know?
How'd they die?
And what we are, right?
Yeah, what
Not
we
even
are.
supposed to be, what we truly are,
and what we're
yes.
tapped into, and then obviously, and it would make sense of why we are just in a constant state of fear with the news and the just everything. Media keeps us in which is the opposite of love. It keeps us in the fear state, which would, you know, keep that vibration down, which would get us hard to come up with these, you know, to even remember, right? It's hard to remember when you're in that constant state. When you do get into a state of love, I think intuitively, at least for myself, I see and have felt all of that stuff that we're supposed to be in that realm, in that place. Now with Tartaria, I got to ask you, Rom, what interests me, I just read about this. Was it like a week ago, Mark, when I hit you up? And I've heard everyone talk about it. I just haven't paid attention. I've been really busy, and I didn't know much about it. But what interests me is when I just skimmed over some of the stuff is some of it's like pretty recent, right? What they think it's a lot more recent than like.
Do you love freedom? Do you love being clean? Then you'll love Hero Soap Company, made in the USA. Chemical and fragrance free. A portion of each purchase donated to veteran and first responder charities. Initial subscription purchase is matched bar for bar and sent overseas to deploy troops. Let freedom clean. Hero Soap Company.
Right? That's what I heard?
They
like,
say that the most recent mud flood would have happened somewhere between like 1830 and 1850, and then like the repopulation of places around that time period. That's kind of what's in the realm of that.
Okay, so the mud floods, and so Tartaria is not necessarily a civilization. It's more of just, or not really. Is it some kind of civilization, like saying like Mayans, or is it kind of tied in with this whole mud flood thing, where mud flood just kind of erased chunks of history?
Well, if I could answer that real quick, I think the point that Roman made was a great one about how Tartaria has become a catch-all term
Mm-hmm.
But if we're going to go back and look historically, yes, there have been places that have been called Tartaria,
Okay.
and it looks like the word tourists and tar, they all have this sort of negative denotation. So I've heard it put that, the reason why they got called Tartarians is because that word tar was kind of like the word bad or no in those days. And so they called them like the bad guys, and it was remembered as like the bad guys. And it would be like if we saw the word the bad guys and forgot what that meant, and we're like, oh, we're talking about these bad guys when, historically they were just the enemy of the Roman Empire, the French Empire, the Spanish Empire, insert empirical force here, Chinese Empire even,
Yeah.
and that's kind of where Tartaria has become a catch-all. But there are some interesting points, connecting to where I live in New Haven. There's something called the Tartary Codex that Andreas Zertis was telling me about on my podcast, and he mentioned it was in Yale. They had this Tartary Codex, and they had no idea what it meant, and it described this whole lost empire. So in a sense, yes, people who are researching it might find things that aren't necessarily Tartarian and label them as Tartarian,
Okay.
and other people see that and understand what they mean, even though the understanding is that it's not directly historical Tartaria, right? You get what I'm saying? So
Yeah, but
there
once
is definitely a place that had the name Tartaria, whether it was given to them or chosen by them.
Okay.
yeah,
I
but
don't
like
know.
anything else, like once they're attacked, like Knights Templar or whatever, right? They just like go underground and change their name. So it's not to say that there's still not some semblance of them.
Well, and here's where it's interesting, because unlike a group of people that could go underground and change their name, the buildings that were left behind from this Tartarian Empire seem to be
underground.
what most people point to as evidence. And like, especially when it comes to the mud flood, you see like a lot of these really strange buildings that are classical looking, and they look like they belong in like, Rome or somewhere in Europe, like a fancy classical looking building in the middle of nowhere, and it's buried up to like the third story, and then there's 2 stories above the ground. So we just look at it and think like, oh, this is a 2-story building. Meanwhile, there's 5 stories altogether, 3 of it's underground. So people will come along and they say, oh, well, maybe this was the result of a cataclysm that buried or submerged this empire, the Tartarian Empire, under mud, which then hardened into dirt. And then people came along later and were like, oh, what's this? And kind of uncovered it and realized like, wow, okay, we can use these buildings too, and started digging them out. And, that might tie into the giants thing. There's all these stories of people finding things in the ground, whether it's giants and only giants. I think that might be part of the hysteria to get people off the trail. Who knows, maybe they're like, yeah, it's just giant bones, so people are like, oh, giants, and they never look into it back then, and then now they have to shut up about that because they know, oh, we're like, what, giants, cool, tell us more,
Yeah.
So now they're hiding all of that. But I think what we're getting at here is that this nation, this empire, it was either a cataclysm or a war that destroyed them. That's kind of where, and then people, look at certain buildings and say, well, this might be out of place. Why is it out of place? Well, it looks like this, and that. So it's very subjective. There's not a lot of concrete, scholarly look into it, but why would we trust the academia or scholars for a subject like this in the first place?
Well, you have to dig around the outside of mainstream academia to even find the sources of it, and then kind of attack it with mainstream you have to get a shit ton of research, shit ton of evidence, and then compare it to mainstream where you can find the loopholes where they kind of connect together. But I will say this, I think the Roman Empire, whatever the nefarious natures against Grand Tartary was, mainly due to steal their technology, because they knew they had this access to the ether energy, and they had special technology that they weren't able to fucking come up with. So they had to basically brute force take it away and then hold that technology and keep it suppressed so then they can use it for themselves, and things like DARPA and and deep state shit that we're dealing with now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's, a lot of that stuff also could come from the Nazis as well, right? With a lot of the technology. But who knows? That's crazy. What really blew my mind is that we're talking like some people are saying 1800s. That's fucking
We're
crazy.
talking, yeah, and we're talking. I don't know if I mean, not to call you out, Mike, but I don't know if it could be the Nazis in this case, because we're talking about, Civil War, pre-Civil War era technology, what we would consider like, oh yeah, they had cannons, around
No,
that
no, I know.
time.
I'm saying that that's crazy because what we did with the Nazis. What I meant to say is like what we definitely took
I will say,
technology
though-
from them. But you're saying,
Okay.
like, yeah, that's
Got it.
how we always reverse it.
Aryans,
Mhm.
Aryans, Tartarians
Yeah.
as a specific race, right? So like if they were trying to only if they, because Hitler was obsessed with technology and obsessed with science, right? And they had a base, New Schwabenland out in Antarctica.
Yeah.
There was a reason why we were going after that. There's talk about, and you guys can listen to this, and Project Veritas did a great episode just a couple days ago, with this guy who's another great Tartarian researcher, but kind of saying that that Hitler and that whole SS and everybody, they were Tartarians because they had Tartarian.
Wow.
They had the Tartarian technology and they held that technology, and that's why they were advanced.
Wow.
Russia. So Tartaria is supposedly Asia and Russia. That whole area was the original Tartaria, Grand Tartary, but they spread all over the world, seemingly, if we're told what, the continents that we know about, right? That we're given to know about. And so I just, that's what I fucking revel in a lot, is that this ancient fucking crazy, amazing ethereal technology has been stolen and ripped and finited, and stolen and ripped and finited, and now we're at a point where it's been stolen and ripped again, and it's being finited even further down to the deep speculation that we have now as humans. Like we break everything down to the smallest molecules that we can of understanding. So I could just imagine what is being suppressed from us right now.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
fucking crazy.
Yeah, I think about that all the time, man. If you just think about something as simple as like a battery, right? Like a battery from the 80s worked better than it does now. Now, obviously, it's because we want to throw things away, like the life of them. I feel like they lasted longer when I was a kid, and I could be wrong, but there's certain things that are so simple technology. A battery, tires. In this day and age, we should have things, they should just work forever, but they don't. And it just shows like the type of society that we're in. It's just a throwaway society. And that's something so simple. So just imagine, being able to teleport. Who knows what we could do? The things that we could do with our minds, the things that we could, working off of, just like you said, the energy out in the ethereal. It's crazy, and I'm sure that DARPA or whoever knows about a lot of this technology, if I had to guess. Yeah, man, the stuff that's being suppressed from us, it pisses me off. I mean, that's weird that you're saying this, Roman.
It should.
Yeah, because the other day I was just thinking about to myself how like it seems like if you look from the 50s to the 90s, there was a lot of crazy technology and it moved fast, right? But it's like from the 90s, or I would not say the 90s, but I would say like from 2001 to now, there's some cool shit, but it really hasn't jumped too crazy if you really think about it. Besides looks and maybe like, storage stuff, but technology hasn't, the way if you look at, like I said, from the 50s to around the 90s, it's crazy. It's like a whole different world.
That was the whole, I mean, it's part of the MK series, that the 50s through the 90s is the MK series before what I consider 2001 to be the actual first big kind of split within the actual focal point of the New World Order, right? Whatever we're going to call that. That's another blanket term. But from the 50s to the 90s, directly after World War II to 2001 is the indoctrination period and the inoculation period of of basically getting rid of all the older people and generations, brainwashing the middle-aged generations,
Yeah.
brainwashing all the younger generations, the indoctrination periods of cramming shitty products down our throats, erasing spirituality, the connection to love, pushing atheism, and
Yeah.
all this shit. That was all part of the MK series. MK Ultra was expanded beyond. I mean, fuck, it's crazy, but we just doing this shit right here and now is like, this is the best thing that we can be doing, y'all. Just talking about this shit.
Yeah, I agree. So you're saying that's the beginning of MK Ultra. I like that. That sounds about right. You know, I like that.
So like everybody just thinks of it as acid, but really it's just the control in general, the news, all that stuff.
Mind control, yeah,
Yeah.
more than just acid. Test.
Right, that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying, and that's all anybody equates it to.
Yeah.
Is acid tests, when in reality it's a lot of other things. Because think about how even advertising, like how do they know how to target shit for people so well? Like that's creepy.
I may have said this before, but I'll say it again in this podcast. Once I got to a certain point where the amount of ketamine I've done, when I would be in a big hole, right, and I'd sit there with my eyes closed, my wife would be watching TV, and a commercial would come on, I would see the energy, I would see like the programming from commercials especially, right? I could just totally see it coming and trying to penetrate me, and I would just zip myself up and kind of block it. But then after doing a bunch, like now I don't do ketamine anymore. I could still, especially with if my kids are watching something where I feel like, I could totally feel, and almost if I'm in a meditative state, I could see that energy again. That's like there's something that they're putting into your brain.
Yeah.
And did you ever watch a kid, or even sometimes some adults that are not that awoke, that where they watch with their mouth open on the TV? That shit's got something in. I'm telling you, I can't scientifically tell you what it is, but I can tell you through psychedelics.
No.
I've seen it.
And they're not telling us, but they know what it is. They're programming shit that way. Like you've heard about music that had messages in it forever, right?
There's another one. Yeah, music, right? So here's personal experience. When I was
Laurel Canyon.
with the Laurel Canyon thing, I love that. I read that book, Strange, so whatever, in Laurel Canyon was amazing. But that blew my fucking mind. I look back now, a lot of those bands, it's like, holy shit, I just question all of it. But what I was going to say about the music is, for myself, like when I was listening to a lot of metal, my energy was dark, and I was always, I'm a free speech person, so I'd be like, fuck these fucking, satanic panic and all that shit. And I'm always going to be for free speech, but that shit got me in a weird vibration. When I got a little older and I was into like hardcore rap music, hip hop, it put me in a different, I was around, it did something. Because if you look at my life, and then once I got rid of all that stuff and started listening to just, music made by my friends and just got rid of all that shit that was put down my throat, my vibration was totally different. That was like the first thing. Roman, it seemed like what do you think about all that stuff?
Oh man, I was giving you some like back, like for the hardcore hip hop.
Yeah,
constant,
because you get
constant gunshots and shit.
Yeah. I mean, but the music definitely, for myself, I could tell you, it changed my energy, it changed my vibe. Like when I was young, I was really into horror films, and now I can't even. If I walk in a room and someone's watching like Walking Dead or something, I gotta walk out of the room. I can't even watch it anymore. And I used to just consume that shit. And I had a different energy about me. And when I first got into the whole like psychedelic thing, my trips were a lot different back then than they are now. And it was definitely because of where my head was, and where not even my head, where my vibration was. And I think goes to MK Ultra, just all different types of MK Ultra. I can't imagine what a person that's just completely blind, how bombarded they are through everything. I mean, this is the stuff we're aware of.
It's funny you bring up The Walking Dead, because the whole idea of a zombie comes from the Mystery School's idea of what an initiate was, right? You get initiated into the secret society, and you have an induced near-death experience in a cave or in a tomb of some sort, and then the initiate has a whole new lease on life. They're connected with their higher self. They understand that they are not just their body. And then you realize, like, oh, wow, I'm living, and everybody else who sees the world as material is dead. And I think now with psychedelics, we're being offered that kind of peer into what the mystery schools would have offered us in the past. We can kind of create it on our own. And these horror movies and hardcore music and all that, I try to avoid it because it's trying, it's trying to get you in that fear state. And I used to
Absolutely.
love that type of rap music, but I had to just phase it out of my life. I still have the same playlists on Spotify. I can go back every now and then, but
Mm-hmm.
I noticed the vibe that it puts me in, and it's not a good one.
Absolutely, man. When you consume any kind of that media, for sure. And then we talk about, we know that advertisers, that's their whole point, right? Is just to suck you in by any means possible. So imagine, talk about suppressed technology. Imagine the technology that the advertisers are using. I mean, I know people, I'm probably am fucking crazy, but I've been saying for a while that shit that I think about pops up. And now it's like a meme, right? People more than just me are saying, yeah, I just thought about that. I definitely didn't say it. I know we know if we say something, it pops up on your phone. But I'm telling you for myself, I don't know if you guys, I think about shit that I don't say to anybody, and all of a sudden it's advertised on my phone. So there is, I can't imagine what kind of technology that is. It freaks me out. I try to think that it's there, but if you just think about like the shit like I was talking about, those waves or whatever those things are that I was seeing when I was in psychedelic state or ketamine state, I believe they're there and they're hooking us, and that's just through, so who knows what else we're being bombarded with,
Do you think that you actually saw a different frequency?
Yes, I know I did.
And you
And it's
could
happened
see
quite a
the
few times.
programming?
It's happened with acid before too. When I took a heavy dose, where I saw the information going into I heard and saw the information going to everyone's computers, into their homes, them like
Yeah.
Communicating to other people. I saw, and I could, in my mind, I could think of the sound right now.
I didn't take enough acid, apparently.
No, I mean this was
I watched a movie, and
mistake.
for 30 minutes, I thought it was the acid movie, and then I realized it was just Cameron Diaz.
No, it's electrical waves, especially if it's an electronic device. All it's doing is sending off electrical output, and so like if you're like if you're tripping to the point where you can at least like comprehend what the fuck's going on, and you see like aura from people, or you see something, basically what you're seeing is you're seeing the electrical output from whatever that is. That's why you don't see a lot from like quote unquote inanimate objects or whatever, but people, trees are moving and wavy, right? Because it's like you have almost like this outline of you, and then it's like color in the spots. It's like, where is it going to color in that moment? It's like color it in, like this is
So
your outline of
It's
this
like
tree.
the
This tree
energy
moves.
aura.
Yeah, and it just kind of fills itself in whenever, and it's
Mhm.
just constantly moving and breathing.
That's an interesting
It's a good-
perspective on that.
That's a good way to put it.
on like
Yeah.
the visuals that you see, because that is kind of a good because everybody's like, what, like it's hard to explain mushroom versus acid. I feel like acid's different, where you see actually drawn up things, for me at least, which I only did it once. But mushrooms, I think I see more of what he's saying, where things are kind of like you can see around them and they're kind of
Yeah,
moving.
yeah.
Yeah, mushrooms should most of the times are more visual. But
It wasn't when I was watching the acid movie with Cameron Diaz.
I do not recommend watching movies while you're on anyone who's listening to this.
Their faces just kept changing. I couldn't hear what they were saying either.
Oh God.
But yeah, I mean, so seeing this information it freaked me out, and it's something that I'm telling you, I could be meditating now and somebody's watching TV in the room, and I totally see it. So I don't know what it's like. I call it like, it's almost like garbage information. It's just like almost like ones and zeros or whatever. It's just some kind of shit. So I don't know, man. I can't imagine.
As long as you're not free thinking in that moment, right? As long as you're just bombarded with anything else besides your own thoughts.
Yeah. I mean, the way I try to combat it is just kind of put a shield around me and just kind of bounce it off. If I'm in that state, if I'm in a meditative state, or if even I'm gonna watch something crazy, I try to like almost like we call it zipping myself up and just protecting myself from that shit. But tell me a little bit about your podcast, Roman.
Yeah.
Tell me, like, what do you guys discuss over there?
Well, okay. All right. Well, I actually pulled up a whole bunch of other stuff because I'm working on building up another solo show of something that's a passion project of mine.
Okay.
But it can't I don't want it to get shadow banned, and it can't really be a conspiracy show. But so I'm working on building a bunch of cases and trying to get a hold of some people. But it's called Oral Morals,
Okay.
and it's basically reminding people about remineralization and the oral microbiome and dental hygiene and the importance and the history of real medicine through Eastern medicine or Ayurveda and the actual real medical practices that help your body balance itself and not necessarily damage your cells or go in and just destroy just so it can like recreate some sort of like remain its natural homeostasis, which is I'm referencing obviously Western medicine does that. Petroleum based medicines do that a lot of time. And so if you guys don't mind, I go into a little spiel on the oral microbiome.
No, I'd love to hear about this.
Okay, so it blew my fucking mind when I first heard, and I was already building up cases for the show. I'm trying just to understand the mouth because there's really just so much going on there that I had no idea. But basically, I cook food professionally, and I was vegan for a few years. And I had a fucking tooth fall out of my mouth, right? It not only fell out of my mouth, it fell out in two different pieces at two different times. It basically slowly rotted out of my mouth from the roots down, right? So like I would just pull out half of my tooth or spit it out or whatever. And I was just like, I thought I kept great care of my mouth. I was using Sensodyne Pronamel. I'm using Glide fucking, dental floss. I'm doing it and I'm brushing every so often. But I thought I was doing everything to keep my mouth healthy because, I like to kiss my girl, I like to talk to my friends, I don't want to have bad breath. I don't want cavities or whatever. And so when I had a tooth fall out of my mouth in two different pieces, it was quite an awakening moment for me. And here's another thing, boys. I'm an anarchist at heart, so it was really hard for me to ever drag myself to the dentist. And so I didn't actually ever go to the dentist. And I basically, after my tooth fell out, I had like this, spot in my gums. It was tooth number 31 on the chart, on the tooth chart, the tooth body connection chart. Tooth number 31, which is the second molar from the right side. And there was a black spot just covering the fucking gum area, right? It was black, kind of like hurt when I put a lot of pressure on it. And I was just like scrubbing it, with a toothbrush and just all the time, just, moving my mouth. Got to get the plaque out. Got to get the, it feels gross from saliva or something. And using Sensodyne Pronamel yet again, right? Never really like reading the ingredients on there.
Yeah.
But I knew fluoride's bad, but I figured, since the ADA, the American Dental Association, had it stamped on there, and when I was in 4th grade, the teacher told me, if it has ADA on it, then it's a good product from the American Dental Association. And I listened to her because I was in 4th grade. Right.
Yeah.
And this is my mouth. This is our health. Why would they lie to us about our health? There's no way they would compromise our health because they want us healthy so we can go out and be great members of society. Right. That was my indoctrinated thought process.
Yeah.
So I started digging into some other alternative oral health stuff and oral hygiene. And boy, oh boy, was I just blown. My cap was blown by finding out that everything I was putting in my mouth was actually the cause and the root problem of the issue and of my teeth rotting.
Does it have anything to do with being vegan or no?
Yeah, absolutely it did. I was a baker at the time. I was a head baker at an Italian bakery. So I was eating a lot of refined sugar and flour, and then I was vegan, so I wasn't getting animal fats and right amounts of calcium or K2, these very essential nutrients for your mouth and keeping your teeth. Which, boys, let me tell you something that also blew my cat back, because I'm not a dentist, I'm not a scientist, I'm a pseudo researcher within the podcast realm, and I have a curiosity and I love the truth, right?
Yeah.
I was blown away when I found out that teeth are alive. They're living. They're not like hair. They're not necessarily growing, but they're alive, and they are not dead by any means. You know, they have roots on there, and they're
Yeah.
working in a symbiotic relationship with your plaque and your saliva, which is also living and constantly changing. And the plaque and the saliva in your mouth are actually what keep your mouth healthy. So understanding the balance of your plaque in your mouth and your saliva, you can actually keep your mouth as healthy as possible. And the other amazing thing about the oral microbiome, I mean, compared to the other parts of the body, the oral cavity harbors the most diverse microbiota. And it has been it's reported that approximately 700 prokaryotic species have been identified as resident bacteria in the oral cavity, and 100 to 300 of those species can be isolated and cultured and tested. These microbes live and grow on all exposed oral surfaces, such as enamel, exposed cementum, and dentin. Resident bacteria adhere to the intraoral surfaces via the ever-developing acquired pellicle, as they call it. And through these different stages in your mouth, a symbiotic relationship exists between the microbial communities and the host, which in a homeostasis contributes the system contributes to systemic and oral well-being, right? So basically what that means is when you and your mouth are in balance, your whole body can work and send out proper anti-inflammatory, chemicals through your blood. It all starts in your mouth. It all
I've
starts
heard that
with
said. Yeah, I've heard that said before. And you're diving deeper, and that's fucking amazing.
Also, interesting is that you're supposed to really chew your food up a ton, right? So that digestion actually starts in your mouth, probably because of the amount of, bacteria in there.
Yeah, I mean, like if you could suck on your food for a fucking half hour, it would probably be the most beneficial thing you could do.
That's how.
But
food eats.
we live in a fast-paced society, so it's just put it, blend it all down. Yeah, no, you're 100% right. I mean, it all really starts with our diet, and I really highly recommend that after you eat anything, just take water and swish it around in your mouth, and just try to get any residual food or whatever just into your body and out of your mouth, because what your mouth is doing after you eat is it's going to reset itself. It's going to reset the saliva. It's going to reset the plaque. You just ate food, so basically it wiped away some plaque. It wiped away saliva. The saliva helps break down and transmit the food to nutrition, right, and everything like that. So when you rinse your mouth out with just water after you eat anything, you're going to just speed that process up a lot more, and your body can get back to doing it without like having to, like you guys remember Osmosis Jones?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a great way to look at it. Look at your body is kind of how that movie was. Like there's constantly little homies in there just trying to clean it up. It's like, oh, dude, all right, this motherfucker just ate some pumpkin soup. Like scrub off the walls, scrub off the tonsils. It's like that. And when you swish water, water's life, water's everything. When you have nice alkaline water, you can swish it around. But what one of my new favorite, and if I'm ranting too much, please just tell me to shut up. But my new favorite little papers I've read was it's called Role of pH in Remineralization and Dental Diseases by Martha McComas. And it's a little bit longer of an article, maybe like 3 paragraphs. You guys mind if I read it real quick?
Go for it.
Okay. Like I said, role of pH in remineralization and dental diseases. A pivotal report published in 1940 concluded the strongest indicator of caries activity, which is another word for cavities, is the drop in oral pH initiated by the metabolism of dietary sucrose. Now, there is a two-way relationship between diet and oral health. Not only does diet have a systemic effect on the integrity of teeth and the periodontal structures, it also has a significant effect on the composition of the oral biofilm, saliva, and the pH of the oral environment. Additionally, diet can have detrimental effects on the hard tissues, leading to caries, lesion, development, and progression. However, it's not just sucrose and fructose that can be readily metabolized by these acidic pathogens. Diets that include cooked or baked starches that, when broken down by saliva, become maltose, such as cakes, donuts, bread, provide other excellent food source for this acidic bacteria. Patients whose diet include these highly fermentable carbohydrates face increased risk of developing hard tissue cavities. Individuals with this type of diet typically have an unbalanced oral microflora. This is abundant in resident bacteria with cariogenic traits. By producing acids through the metabolism of sucrose, fructose, glucose, maltose, these pathogens have the ability to tolerate and even accelerate an acidic environment desirable for their survival. The relationship between sugar consumption and cavities prevalence prompted the WHO to reduce its recommendations regarding free sugar consumption for the average adult to less than 10% of the daily total intake.
Wow.
And it goes on, but man, isn't that fucking crazy?
Yeah, it is pretty crazy. Did you ever
Explains
try?
a lot.
Did you ever try oil pulling?
Yes.
And what do you think about it?
Yes. It's have you done it?
Yeah, I did it for a couple years. I've stopped doing
What
it.
oil were you using?
I was using MCT or coconut oil.
Nice. Yeah, it makes your mouth feel like a champion after
But
that.
do you
huh?
think it really works? Like, do you think it is actually? If you read about what I mean, my mouth felt good, but do you that's kind of goes hand in hand with what you're saying, right? I think it was like getting rid of a lot of the garbage that's in your mouth and stuff that's right? I mean, it was supposed to strengthen your teeth, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, well, it's okay. So there's oil pulling has been happening for thousands of years in
Yeah.
India. It started as an Ayurvedic treatment,
Mhm.
and Ayurveda is the oldest medical treatment that we have documented here on Earth, which is fucking beautiful, and why India is able to pump out some of the smartest and most ingenuitive, genius doctors that we have,
Yeah.
is because of their just deep dive into it. So, oh man, Weston Price. Have you guys heard of the Weston Price Foundation or who Weston Price is?
No.
Yeah.
So Weston Price is really cool, and he actually is all about animal fats. So
Okay.
in India they have a large vegetarian. They're like some of the largest group of
Mhm.
vegetarians in the world or whatever, and what have you. And so he recommends oil pulling with butter.
Okay. Really?
Is that because
I thought that
people in
was
India
crazy. I was
with
like,
ghee or straight butter? Because I know in India they use a lot of ghee.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So sorry, I didn't really differentiate that. Weston Price does does butter, but in India they would traditionally use sesame oil. That was
Okay,
their
okay,
number
okay.
one, as opposed to coconut oil.
All right. Yeah, actually,
Yeah,
yeah,
but
you're right.
Weston
You're right. You know
Price
what? Yeah,
was
you're
like having his clients.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
You did sesame?
I did the sesame. Yeah, I started with the coconut, and then
Oh,
I
hell yeah.
moved on to the sesame once I looked into it more. I went to an Ayurvedic
Yeah.
doctor.
I think
as well.
any of it works though, really.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it has to do with the fats, right?
Oh,
and
what
pulling it.
else?
When I went to that doctor,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
was the
and,
first thing
so-
they did was look into my mouth. It's interesting you're saying that. First thing they do was just look in your mouth and all kinds of stuff with that. And right away, the doctor said, he goes, I could tell right how healthy you, because I thought I was like dying. It was one of those times I thought I was like definitely dying. And he and he looked in my mouth and was like, no, you're good. We got to balance you out. And I was like, really? That quick? And yeah, it just like made you stick your tongue out. It was like moving things around, and it's wild. It's really wild, that type of medicine. You're kind of freaking me out a little bit too, because I've been vegetarian now for almost, and pretty much vegan, but I do have some animal products, some eggs and butter and stuff like that every once in a while. But for a couple months, and why did you stop becoming? Why did you get off the vegan thing?
Well, so strictly vegan, is not necessarily recommended. Like what you would like vegan as hardcore as I was for a little bit, because sometimes I go pretty hardcore into shit. But the trace the trace minerals and different proteins, linked proteins and stuff that can be found in animal fat basically is really the most important part. So you can get like obviously full complete proteins through plants, but the fat you can't really. So like lipids aren't really created through a lot of plants, and plant fats like avocado fat and or coconut fat is it's really good, but it doesn't have that complete chain connection that animal fats have for you. So butter and eggs and fish oil or fish is just the great way you can do it. You can maintain a sustainable diet without any harm to animals with eating eggs and butter. Dairy is actually can be incredibly sustainable, but we don't do that in our monocropped agricultural system because we're
it's funny you're saying that, Roman,
suppression, right? And so
it's funny you're saying that because that is why that's why I had to stop, was because I wanted to be involved with the factory farming and the suffering. I just don't want to take it on anymore. So to eat eggs or to eat fats, or I guess fats would be hard unless I know where the animal's coming from. But
our cows being killed in October for our meat.
Yeah, I know that you're doing that, and you want.
We bought a quarter of a cow from a farmer right around the corner. So we went over and met him, and we did.
Nice. Well, the local co-op should have some local dairy for you guys too, or goat dairy, and that's always a really good option. I think just naturally. Oh, there's something else that was really fucking mind blowing that I heard. So every time you ingest sugar in the form of like carbohydrate breakdown and or especially refined sugar, what it does and what minerals play in your body is when you put in toxins like sugar, especially refined sugar and stuff like that, and in a large amount like we do here in America. Thank you. Thanks for that, you fucks. It basically takes a lot of minerals in your body to process that. So every time you have sugar, it's going to rip away calcium, or it's going to use a lot of calcium and magnesium and zinc to basically convert that sugar into something usable for your body. And that's why we're minerally deficient a lot of times, is because we're not balancing it. So like you can have sugar, there's not a problem with that. You can have fruit, you can have these things, but are we rebalancing it with the proper minerals that we're going to need in order to digest it, right? And that's really the understanding of balance. And that's where the understanding of nutrition comes in. And that's what I want Aura Morals to be about. I want regular stoner people like myself to be able to tap in and just understand how to quickly take away nutritional information.
Well, Roman, I know you have to get out of here soon. So let me ask you something real quick for our listeners. What are some things they can do to get it going for the stoners? And because we got a lot of stoners on this that listen here.
Oh, thank God. I love you all for enjoying the cannabis. Like I said earlier, the most important part would be to, after you eat consciously, hopefully, whatever, even if you don't, swig your mouth out with water. Just, through your teeth. Get a really nice type of salt, because that is a really quick electrolyte and how to remineralize your mouth very quickly.
I was just going to ask you that.
I keep salt in my bag wherever I go.
What type?
Cell salts, baby.
Pink Himalayan salt.
Redmond real salt is pretty. Yeah, pink Himalayan salt. I just found this Celtic salt, a big ass jar of it for $5, like unrefined Atlantic sea salt. Or if you live next to the coast, be a fucking G. Go out to the ocean, get a pot of it, boil it down, and create your own saline mineral solution. And you can do that, and then you can add other fun stuff in there.
Now you just add that into your water, Roman?
Yeah, add that to your water, but you don't really want to swallow it. You can just use it to swig your mouth out. It's almost like you can make a mouthwash out of ocean water.
Well, you might not want to do that if you live in New Jersey, but everywhere else.
That's what I was thinking. I don't think I want Jersey Shore water.
Is it nasty out there or what?
Yeah, it's kind of gnarly. You'd have condoms in it.
The ocean's so beautiful here. It's crazy. No, for real, it really is.
I should talk. I'm on Long Island Sound. So
I do. I do like pink Himalayan salt, but I drink it. I don't even as well. Like I don't even have sports drinks anymore, and I used to have a huge dehydration problem.
Yup.
So that's all I'll have like a big glass in the morning, and then I actually put at least a little bit in my water, and then it tastes like mineral water. Hint, hint.
Yeah,
and then
dog.
it's easier to drink all day.
Mm-hmm.
What else were you were bringing something else up that I was on?
Oh,
The minerals and processing stuff. The other thing people don't realize is that you're going to burn extra minerals processing all of your alcohol, all of your medication, all of that stuff.
Oh.
And the RDAs, the recommended daily allowances of vitamins and minerals, are made for healthy people that are not taking all this stuff. So you need to take way more than whatever the RDA is to keep yourself even if you're in a scenario where you're making yourself deficient.
Fuck yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like, and that's a funny thing too about like the food pyramid or these RDAs, like these kind of like they're ancient cultures and ancient medicine practices have recognized that there's different body types. And through the Western medicinal culture, we don't recognize these different body types. So in Ayurveda, there's 3 different body types, right? But what that means is like these RDAs, like you're saying, doesn't work for everybody.
Yeah.
The fucking food pyramid, which is complete bullshit and fucking materialized for marketing purposes, is obviously not for fucking everybody. Like my ass is so fucking like I have such a slow metabolism. I eat anything, I'm gaining that weight, bro. Like I just can't. I have to work so hard to keep weight off, you know, and so that means I have a very different body type than.
Yeah.
Well, Mark, aren't you like 6'5" over there and like hard to put on weight, probably?
6'8", feeling great.
I actually switched
Exactly.
to mainly me and Mike have the exact opposite diets going on right now. I'm taking all organ meat supplements and eating tons of steak and liver chip
go.
like treats, and we're buying a grass-fed cow, and I'm like at 8% body fat with probably the most muscle I've ever carried at that being that lean, and I don't starve myself. I'll eat enough steak till I'm fucking full, and then that's it. And in the morning I have lots of bacon and eggs.
Roman, I know you got to go. Let's talk about this because this is interesting.
Okay.
I want to talk to you about this because I'm getting fatter by doing this, but spiritually I feel good. Roman, I know you got to get out of here. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. Where
Yeah.
could our listeners find you?
Oh shit! Alt Media United / Rising from the Ashes, baby. Check it out.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being on here, man.
Hell yeah! Thank you, boys. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Clint.
No
Thank you,
problem, bro.
Roman. Great to meet you.
All right, so you're talking about the fucking how you right? I know what you're saying is correct because when I ate only meat, when I pretty much did the Owsley Stanley diet,
Yeah.
you know, one of my idols in life, if anyone knows who that is, it's a guy who created the Sunshine and all the acid for the Grateful Dead. He even created the Bear was his
He
name.
was
He only allowed anyone, if you lived in his house, like it was just meat. You only could eat meat. And I lived that way for a while where I only ate pretty much meat.
Yep.
Like Atkins, but not, like one of those fat fuck type Atkins things.
Right.
I ate healthy, just carnivore, right? It's called carnivore. now.
Right.
I ate like
Or
that.
paleo or
Yeah.
whatever.
So
I don't really
I did
follow
that.
anything super hard.
So check this out. This is funny how this happened. It happened intuitively. I was actually had a hamburger. It was one of my places. It was just a hamburger place. It was a grass-fed hamburger place I had. And I had no help, kind of like it is right. I had no help, so I was working in the front. So I didn't want to eat the bread because I knew the bread would get me fat. So I'd have like maybe an hour a day. So I was fasting. So this all happened just by accident.
Right.
So I was fasting, and all I would eat was like a bacon blue cheeseburger with no bun every day. And all of a sudden I started getting shredded.
Yeah.
Like a month goes by or whatever, and I'm like, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm not, because then I just go to sleep, right? I'd be so tired at night. I'd be like, I don't even want to eat anything. Just go to bed. And I found out like I'm eating, and then all of a sudden you start hearing about podcasts and stuff. They're talking about fasting.
Yeah,
and
intermittent
then later on,
fasting.
later on, and I'm like, I'm intermittent fasting. And then later on, they start talking about this not paleo, you just said carnivore or whatever, right? And I'm like, I'm doing this by default, and I brain function, everything was just amazing. And then I started feeding myself more, right? I'd work out and have like what you're doing, right? I was doing the organ meats. I had friends that were hunters, so I was getting all the extra organs and things like that. And doing,
Well, now it's easier. I'm taking supplements that's just organs.
yeah, you told me
So
about this.
I'm
I know
taking
where
a
you're at.
Couple, yeah. So yeah, I'm fucking ripped right now,
No,
dude,
you are.
and I don't even do anything crazy.
And you are. And
Well,
I remember being
I
like
was
that.
away for a month, 3 weeks, and I'm leaner than when I left. And I rode we did like 10 jumps 3 times a day, 3 times a day, and that was it.
Yeah, but check it out. So here's the thing. And now I'm fat as fuck right now. My pants don't fit
Okay,
me.
so here's the thing that I've been diving into, and I'm obviously not the founder of this. The one doctor, Paul Saladino, who's like carnivore MD, he actually makes the supplements. But so he pointed out that they were having discussion about seed oils, and they think that most of this stuff is coming from seed oils. And the issue is that it's like linoleic acid or something. I totally butchered that, but that's fine. It's a seed oil, but it's a omega-6, and they've lumped it in with LDL. So now that's why the LDL is bad cholesterol, but they've lumped that in, and that's why those numbers are so high. But that seed oil, besides doing that, it would be basically you would be eating seeds, this is the theory, at the end of the year, at fall, when they become ripe. So that's telling your body, like, hey, it's fall. We need to try to put on as much weight as possible.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're eating meat and you're eating the fats from meat, your body's like, oh, we just made a kill. We're in abundance. We don't need to hold on to all this fat. So it's not just fats. It's the different types of fats.
Yeah, and I agree with it, and I think it's amazing. But here's my
So you
dilemma.
could
My
come
dilemma
up
is
And
after I went
just
on that
have
spiritual journey.
one cow killed and then eat off of that cow
I
for,
guess you're right.
So, however long.
Let me just say for the listeners, because we talk about this a lot, so they understand. So when I was away this July or August, I had a serious experience, and I was like, if for me to be the best human I could be, I need to end the suffering of animals, because if you guys knew what really goes on behind the scenes of factory farming, it's disgusting. It's fucked up. And I figured what I got from this information was like, I got to just become vegetarian immediately, because that will just help my vibration. I just can't take on, meats, especially from tortured animals. So Clint knows this. That's why I'm just bringing it to speed. So it's not just an inside conversation. You're saying, and when I first came home, I said, no. You asked me about the cow, and I'm like, no. But now that I'm gaining weight and I'm realizing, all right, this is not, and I hear other vegans and vegetarians say about, that's why I just, the last couple of days, I decided I'm eating eggs. Because I know eggs are healthy.
Yep.
And I got really healthy eggs from a guy who, so I know they're good. They're not tortured animals, right? But now I got to worry about my own well-being, because I could feel that I don't feel good with all this breads and this. And Roman was saying, I'm the body type where we'll blow up,
Yo, you and me both.
blow
That's the
up
thing.
from the carbs.
There was a point in time I was like, I'm going to be a fat Italian guy.
Oh,
Like,
really?
This is how it's going to be. Yeah.
'Cause I only know you like Jack.
Long time ago. Yeah, like in my 20s. I was like, well, I guess this is it. I'm going to be a bald, fat Italian guy. Okay. And then actually somebody from a Canadian motocross racer, I was going to the gym. So after I stopped racing, I started doing freestyle. I totally stopped going to the gym.
Mm-hmm.
We traveled, ate Fridays or whatever the fuck it was.
Yeah. All
like
that shit.
Chili's, whatever. And then at 26, I was 196 pounds. And then I started working out. A racer from Canada came down, and he was like, hey, if you want to, basically have more energy all day, you know how when you wake up in the morning and you keep going back to sleep, he's like, that'll be gone. You won't get this and that. So he was like, you got to get rid of sugar. So then he was like, first 6 ingredients can't have sugar in it, or fructose, glucose, whatever,
Yeah,
blah, blah.
it's even worse. The high
all the
fructose
different-
is even worse than sugar cane.
And I think that this was, I'm 26, so it's 2006. So this is we're not bombarded with seed oils quite yet, I don't think. I'm sure it was going on, but it's not quite to the point it is now. But I think that now it's just a long ingredients list, and you got to find stuff that don't have those
Well, you shouldn't
long.
be eating it. You should be eating whole foods regardless,
Right.
right?
Well, that's the point, but nobody knows that. Like, they see all this shit that's advertised healthy, you know, and
Yeah.
that's all the bread. And, you know, that's the thing. The like you said, like, for vegetarians, every single protein has a bunch of carbs in it, right? Beans.
Yeah. And
Like, what else is a vegetable protein? Like, all of it has carbs in it. Like a ton.
It's
and
all
you don't
it's
have the
all-
animal fat.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna eat vegetarian, yeah, or now I have friends that are. I have a friend who's jacked, and he's a raw vegan.
What the fuck's that mean?
So he just pretty much just eats raw vegetables and raw
Oh,
salads.
okay.
But he lives, you know, by the Amazon,
Right.
and some of the, you know, he's not indigenous, but some of the people that he messes with that are. When I talk to them, it's interesting, man. They just eat intuitively.
Right.
If a bird comes through or something, they're
Yeah.
gonna have that. But for the most part, they're eating coconuts and they're eating things that they just
Right.
find. But it's like if an animal comes through, that's what they're gonna have, and that's why they're all jacked and ripped up
Right.
because they're just eating kind of like what you're saying. You just
What you come across. I mean, that's the thing. I also believe that we're probably supposed to, like, you were talking about the fasting thing.
Mhm.
So that for people that don't know, like, fasting does a lot more than just restricting calories. It gives your body time to produce hormones, detoxify, like, do a bunch of things that it doesn't have time to do when it's concentrating on digesting all the time.
Yeah.
And we just bombard it 24/7 with shit to digest, especially when you just eat all day and then you eat before you go to sleep. And your body's like, oh, it doesn't have time to produce hormones or do fucking anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you're supposed to go through times of fasting. I also think that intuitively now, you know, if you lived on this continent way back when, you would have probably eaten a shitload of berries one time of year.
Yeah.
You know, you would have eaten an abundance of certain things at
Yes.
certain points. And I think that flooding of nutrients is probably good and something we're missing as well, you know? Like, and we're just not eating along the schedules that we would normally eat or the things we would normally eat. And it's like,
Absolutely, man.
and then we're bombarded with light and
yeah.
chemicals and everything else.
Everything
and
else.
Everybody thinks that they should be tired.
I mean, one of the visions that I had when I was in this experience was how it's just too fucking easy. How you just drive up to any
Yeah.
window anywhere from here to my way home. There's probably 20 places at any given time. They never close. You just drive up to a window and get a bag of meat.
Well, now you can just go on your phone and send a message and shit
you're
will
right.
show up
You
at
could
your
even
door.
do that, right? So it's just too
I
fucking
think you
easy.
shouldn't be able to have, like, McDonald's delivered to your house. Like, certain places they should be like, no, you got to at least leave the fucking house. You got to at least drive there.
Clint, do you know that we're in a pandemic?
You gotta at
There's a
least
virus
drive.
out there that's killing people.
You could stand outside the place.
Okay,
So you
there's a
gotta at
virus.
least
So that
move
Uber
yourself.
driver, he could risk it.
Dude, I like that the health advice that they give you. The health advice that, like, what was it? Michelle Obama had that health initiative thing, and it was just like, or whoever did it. I think that's who it was. It was just like, balance what you eat with what you do. That was literally the advice for getting healthy. I was like, this is the most vague fucking advice I've ever heard in my life. If you paid a trainer and that's what they told you, you'd be like fucking livid about it.
I think I listened to her advice for a while. That's
I
why
think
I'm so
you
fucked
haven't
up,
fucking explained anything.
you know?
They're like, I only had one soda today.
Yeah, exactly. I think she's the one who taught me how to get. You know, that's why.
Like,
got so
oh, I
fucked up.
walked. I deserve a soda. Doesn't Big Nick have a joke like that?
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. Oh man, what a fuck! You're kind of convincing me to start eating meat again. Here's the thing, man. Here's the thing. Between my two buddies right now, they're both meat eaters.
James?
What?
James?
What do you mean, James?
James.
What about James?
He's going meat too.
No, I'm saying my two buddies on the screen.
Oh.
Mark
I know,
and
but
Clint.
James too.
Oh, any of my friends have been making fun of me about this.
No, well, I talked to him about. He's like, I'm going carnivore for 30 days, and we started going back and forth. And he was like, you know, Mike's vegan or whatever. And I go, yeah, I know. I've been giving him a hard time. He
No,
goes,
but I'm telling
he
you
goes, good, me too. But
I
mean,
get it. I get it that there's like there's
you could do what you want. I don't care. I just like to mess with you. You would fuck with me as well.
but it listen. I want to fuck with myself, but literally, when I go to cook meat for my kids, I get grossed out. Like, I don't know if I don't want to eat meat.
Yes,
Is
you
the
do.
problem. I don't.
Yes, you do.
I also don't want this fucking gut and these tits right now either, though. You know, I'm trying to get, and I feel like that's all that's happening is that I'm just getting bigger tits by eating fucking vegan. But I'm not like, you know,
Do you want to go? You could still go up and visit the cow. Make sure that he's got
can
a
take care of
good
it.
life before they slaughter him.
I want to know the guy that's going to slaughter him.
The one that's gonna slaughter him.
Yeah, I need to know this guy. Make sure he's fucking nice and he's not some weirdo. He's gonna be real nice to the animal.
I don't know who's gonna act. I don't think the farmer's gonna slaughter him. He seemed nice though. He was an older dude. They were in the field across the street eating grass, bro.
Oh God, I don't know, man.
Do you want to shoot
I
it
was thinking
yourself?
about catching my own
so
fish
that you
and
know?
eating that.
Let's just go up and shoot the cow. That
Dude,
way
when I was
you
in-
know
when I was in culinary
that it
school-
was done humanely.
When I was in culinary school, we were at some kind of butchering type class, whatever. Remember when they used to roll the fucking TV into the
Yeah.
classroom? So we knew it was one of
Yeah,
those
yeah.
days. All of a sudden they're rolling the TV in, and we're like, oh, it's gonna be one of these days. Fucking chef doesn't tell us anything. Just hits play, right?
It's just chickens being
So-
killed.
No, it's just it's a farmer. And he's just petting this cow, and he's pointing to every part of the body. And he's telling you, so you're learning about, right? And he's like, this part is.
And then he
I
shoots
I
it.
swear to God, he pulls a fucking pistol out of his back pocket while he's still talking.
Shoots it right at.
Right in the head. Bang! The girls are screaming. I'm fucking traumatized. Everyone's traumatized. We're like, what the fuck did we just watch?
So like, this is where your meat comes from, motherfucker.
Yeah, I mean, you're chefs, so we're killing all kinds of shit. But
Yeah, and then you're butchering it up. Like, come on.
but you can at least tell us, hey, you're gonna watch a snuff film. Nothing. Just put it on. Oh, we're gonna learn about fucking beef today, and the poor thing got shot in the head.
Well,
I mean, it's probably a nicer way than what goes on those factory farms.
yeah, exactly.
There's some sick fucks that work there. I don't know. I don't know if that's true. I just feel like
I'm like,
just-
what are they doing? Fucking
just-
them,
yeah, I
their
thi- I
face to
think they
death?
are,
Like,
man.
what is going on?
I think they're really sick.
I mean,
fucks
I
over
don't
there.
think it's so necessarily. I mean, I don't know. You know, it was like, oh, they go in there scared. I don't know. They're in the building
Definitely.
all day. Like, I don't know
No.
that day they're any more scared than they are the day before. But I think it's their whole life, right?
Yeah, that they're just petrified.
Yeah,
and nervous, and
exactly.
you're taking those. You're going to take all that hormones. In.
Exactly.
It's not good.
Yeah, negative
Regardless,
hormones,
and
cortisol,
You
or
want to talk about energy, negative energy,
Cortisol.
cortisol. Exactly.
cortisol.
Yeah,
That's
cortisol.
negative cows feelings.
Definitely.
It's cortisol.
All right, this is getting off the rails. Mark, thank you. I can't wait to see you in person, man.
Yeah, I gotta come back down soon. I'll be there. Gotta show you my new mixer. Bring this thing down.
Fuck yeah. We when we get off air, I'll talk to you about some other stuff. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm sorry, Clint's been at the circus for a while. He's been he's swallowing swords in the circus, and
Meat swords.
so we don't have him around much. So it's been a little slow.
No, we're doing state fairs. So if any of you guys are in South Carolina in the middle to end of October, I think we're doing Sumner, Florence, and someplace else right there.
Go to Ringling Brothers and Barley.
No, go to the fairs. Look for Cycle Circus Live, and
You said it's
not a That'll be us. It's a cycle circus.
We're
No.
out.
See, you're confused. They're circus people. Well, you always call them carnies. I said they're not carnies.
That's what I said. You're right.
I said circus people are above carnies.
You're right. I do
Sorry,
call you a
carnies,
carny. I'm sorry.
But they're just higher up on the performance list. I
Gotcha.
don't know where I fall in that because I did do monster trucks for a long time. So maybe that's carny. I don't fucking know. I'm part of whatever circus fucking is hiring.
It's good.
What do you guys got? All right, no. Yeah, go to tiffscomedy.com. You got a lot of good comedy shows coming up here.
If you're
Totally
in,
forgot about
yeah,
that.
if you're in New Jersey, October is going to be crazy. Just check it out.
I'll be here. No, I won't for most of it. So you guys are lucky. If you come in October, you miss me.
All right, thank you so
All right,
much.
Later.